Good afternoon. Let's call to order the Redevelopment Commission meeting. First order of business is the approval of the minutes from the April 4th meetings. Everyone had a chance to review those? Any changes or corrections? None. If none, can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
All in favor? Aye. So moved. Next order, there's several claims that were passed around before meeting packet. I don't know, Tony, there's nothing, is there anything we need to discuss?
Nothing out of the ordinary on this one. All of them go towards planned expenditures, whether related to habitat or wayfinding, ongoing work with Frank's Drive, ongoing projects, so nothing out of the ordinary. We did have one expense in support of public arts, which was the renting of some equipment for the installation of the temporary art exhibit Flight. So but we have money planned for public arts, so nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Yeah, you will note, though, at the bottom, the two largest draws are for the PACE program, the final draw for 2022, and then the first draw for 2023.
If you recall, Dan brought that up at the last meeting, and we went back and researched it, and then there's also the first half of 23. That program has been overwhelmingly successful, and we're already processing the third round of applications, I think, and running out of funds. That's
We'll
how
sell out
successful
again? Good. So total claims of $341,841.91. Everyone's reviewed those. Can I get a motion to approve and pay? Second? All in favor? So moved. Next order, we have a financial report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. We are working with Reedy and the clerk's office to close out 2022 and get a further explanation on some of the transfers that did not happen because of just some fund issues at the end of last year. I think Cole will walk through that today. The financial picture is in a very good position for the Redevelopment Commission. In general, the big takeaway is that we're going to see additional revenue this year in tax collections that we didn't know about, as well as with some of the property sales we had last year with the railroad and other things will give us a higher than expected cash balance at the end of the year, or the ability as projects come about to be able to think through those. So I'll let Cole talk through that, and we are continuing to reevaluate the plan and how we present data, and we hope to have a little clearer financial report here by June or July once we get the mid-year tax draw. So, Cole?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good afternoon. Cole Fosbury, Greedy Financial Group. This is the financial plan you guys will see every month. Page 3 will just show your overview of the RDC. And then going to page 4, you'll see all of the allocation areas you'll be receiving revenue from. And this is also a good page to go to see expiration dates for the TIFs as well. Going on to page 5, this will be your monthly balance. You will see everything on a month-to-month basis here for this year as well as next year. Page 6 will just show the claims that you guys approved. And then here on page 7, getting into the details here. As Tony said, we're getting really close to dialing in this RDC account and working with the clerk treasurer's office. And as he said, you'll see the land sale transfer added in there into the projected 23 column. And then we will also see the Wilson Avenue transfer get into there as well. And then
Yeah, we expect that transfer will get processed here in the next couple of weeks, so that, again, if you remember correctly, in the past, the previous RDC administrations had established prep funds as a way of sort of what I would call squirreling away dollars towards those larger projects each year. And both for Reedy, the clerk, and for ourselves, Bob and myself, it was a little odd and took a lot of steps to do that. So we're working with them to rethink about the budget as being a budget and project dollars being allocated within that budget versus trying to have the clerk's office set up accounts and transfer all these dollars out, and we keep them separate. So this should start to give us a clearer picture of where we are. But since we canceled the Wilson Avenue project, there was one of those accounts that was set up outside of the RDC. We'll be pulling that money back into the RDC funds.
Okay.
And then, also, as Tony briefly mentioned, we should expect to have more cash at the end of the year. What we are showing on here is being conservative.
Do you make is there a change in the revenue collection? Is that the adjusted amount?
The
The
1.8, the
1.8,
1.8,
yeah.
the 1.8 is not. That's what we've projected, we believe, based upon early review of tax collections, that we'll have additional dollars this year.
Okay,
And we'll know for sure here once we receive our June tax settlement.
okay.
We'll be able to do a stronger estimate for the year end, but that, we expect that number to be higher
Okay.
by, maybe 5%.
And then, moving forward to page 8, this will show the RDC's contracts outstanding and the percent of contract remaining. And then going forward to page 9, this will just be the outstanding debt. Here you'll find maturity dates of all outstanding debt currently and expected plus actual amounts paid.
One other note I would bring forward here is there will be one more transfer similar to the PACE program. We had allocated $25,000 a year for public art in support of that in the Public Arts Commission. Unfortunately, we had thought that when they established the Public Arts Commission, they established a fund. They established the ability for them to fund and spend dollars, but the fund was never created. So that was just finished up at the last city council meeting. So now that that's done, we'll do a similar transfer as we have with PACE for 2022 and 2023 at the next meeting.
Okay. And then one other question on the revenues, the grocery store, is that still, you think, projected for this year?
We are going through that process now with an operator prospect, and the goal is to go through their real estate committee process in the month of May. So in the June meeting, we'll have an update on the grocery store. And then the economic development process with that developer and operator will begin.
Okay.
So right now, we're showing we'll sell the property for what we have in it, which was the $525. That's subject to working on an economic development agreement.
Okay,
We have provided him
It's
with,
gonna be a multi-million-dollar investment by this operator, so what we'll do a lot is work with them to attract the highest return for us, but also the highest level of investment for them that accomplishes our goal of bringing the downtown market to
excellent,
fruition.
great.
So that one's still got a lot of moving parts to it.
number one priority.
That is all for the financial plan, but like I said, we'll be working with Tony to really fine tune this plan, and we should have a more clear, up-to-date version for next time.
Great.
Much more improved. Thanks,
Much
Cole,
more
for your
improved, yes.
attention to that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Old business, Frank's Drive. So today I would ask the commission to approve a contract to All-Star Paving for $146,526.50. That project did come in under the engineer's estimate, so we were happy for that. That's been one victory this year, so we'll take it. I would also, as a part of that motion, ask you to give the mayor the authorization to give the notice to proceed, as we want to only do that once the property is closed, and the developer's telling us the property will close here in the month of May. So we'd like to award the project today to All-Star Paving with the mayor having the authorization to issue notice to proceed once the property is closed.
Any questions for Tony or the mayor on that before we make a motion? No, nice for it to come under budget. So can we get a motion to move forward with All-Star and give the mayor authority to move forward as he sees fit?
Make a motion.
Second? Second. All in favor? Aye, so moved.
John, I just want to comment on this for a second, because this is a real important element of attracting new development. This right here, our investment, and we always talk about leveraging our investment for maximum return and impact. This is going to make that whole intersection safer for Ivy Tech and the retail that's there, but it's also critical toward attracting another multi-million-dollar investment that's going to be there. That is really part of this whole synergy we're getting from the Sunrise Crossing development. The Sunrise Crossing development is a $55 million mixed-use development, but it is attracting millions of dollars of new investment into our community, and it's really been pretty phenomenal, the amount of retail demand that we're seeing from national retailers because of the Hobby Lobby and Kohl's and TJ Maxx and Five Below coming into our community. That, I think, is elaborating on the fact that there's been an underserved market, and Madison is a regional destination, and that's what this retail investment, I think, is proving for us.
Yeah, I think to emphasize that, I would tell you right now that there are 3 parcels along Clifty Drive under some sort of due diligence for additional national retailers who have interest, either restaurants or other retail operations. I was on the phone yesterday with another national retailer. It's like, we'd never thought of Madison. Now that Kohl's is here, now that Hobby Lobby's announced, as Garen Denning at CRM would tell you, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and once the buildings are up and they see the car counts, then then everybody will go, oh, we should have been there a year earlier. But the point is, as Mayor said, this initial investment is causing additional investment in our community. So the RDC and its investment is spurring other investment throughout the Clifty Drive region by other retailers and increasing the economics of some of those properties along the Clifty
Well, yeah,
Drive.
I think that's important. If we went through, look at the points we were making as we went through the financial plan, we're projecting higher assessed values, which is creating more TIF revenue for us that then we reinvest. That does the purpose of the Redevelopment Commission, which is to essentially promote additional investment, higher assessed values, and create this organic form of capital that allows us to then take that increment and leverage it with additional private investment or grants to have a multi-million-dollar impact. So I think that this constant process of evaluating the TIF allocation areas, the increment, the decrement, parcel, assessed values, we'll get into it in a little bit. The legislative element of that is all promoting new investment in the city of Madison. And I think that is what this board is effectively doing and has been doing pretty successfully over the last several years, and the approach that we've taken. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you too. I would also be remiss if I didn't say the investment you're making in the downtown community too, through quality of life enhancements, is really huge. And we're not ignoring our downtown restaurants and retailers as well. I mean, we're promoting as a part of the Sunrise Crossing. We've got signage up there about visit downtown Madison. Here's the great restaurants and shops downtown. But from an economic development perspective, we are also working with Main Street in a very collaborative manner. We just had our restaurant cluster meeting last week to bring the restaurateurs together in downtown for the first time. Several of them had never met each other. So we're working to help elevate our game at all levels and bring a regional destination approach both for our hilltop and our downtown together. I think our downtown had a regional destination approach already with our tourism, and we know tourism dollars are up. We had the best collections ever. In our innkeeper's tax, we've had more visitors, record-setting months, and that's continuing. And so we know we're doing the right things. We know quality of life initiatives and placemaking is really important, and your role in that is going to be seen here more and more over the next few months. So thank you for that too.
Great.
Ready? Next is Shun Pike easement appraisal. This has been a project we talked about, I think, back maybe early winter or late winter, January, February. Duke Energy approached us about an easement. They're doing some major enhancements along Shun Pike, Julieberry Lane, and Wilson Avenue intersection. One of those parcels we own. They had originally asked us for an easement that was large, and it was all going to be overhead. We met with them per your request. They did agree to go underground with the improvements along our property. As a part of that, they only needed a 15-foot easement. We did get the appraisal back. It's $1,000, and Duke Energy agreed to pay the appraisal and the fee, the $100,000 for the easement. I'd ask for a motion to do that and give the mayor authorization to sign the necessary documents.
I'll make that motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye, so moved.
Thank you. New business today is the decrement process. We talked about that 2 meetings ago, and I'll let Cole dig into this a little deeper with you. We did do a basic analysis and felt that the cost-benefit analysis was there to do the decrement process. I sort of describe it as sort of trimming some of the dead off the tree so the tree can grow in a healthier state. And Reedy does sort of suggest doing that, looking at it at least and analyzing it every couple years. And so they've done that, and I'll let Cole go into the details on the resolution and the findings.
Yeah, this is a great process to go through. It is just like pruning a tree. It's good to go through the parcel list and look for those decremental parcels. And if you turn to page 2 of the decrement analysis, you will see that this will give the RDC roughly $100,000 by going through with this. And basically, it's just, if you would have a parcel that's at $1 million, another parcel that's at negative 500,000, then the total AV is gonna be 500,000, whereas we do this process, negative 500,000 goes away, now your AV is $1 million. It's just a good process to go through. And then on page 3, you'll just see the list of all the parcels in each allocation area that were decremental. But other than that, that's really all it is to it. It's just pruning the tree, getting rid of those decremental parcels, and there's a great benefit to doing so.
So all of these listed on page 3 would be coming out?
It'd be coming out, resetting the base, and then being put back in.
Okay,
And maybe Cole, just to clarify, this isn't raising any property taxes.
No.
And it's not taking property tax revenue away from any unit of government. I'll talk a lot about TIF, tax increment financing. There's an increment and a decrement process, and our job as a redevelopment commission is to be investing money that will improve the value and quality of life, whatever our priorities are from a redevelopment commission perspective. And inside these allocation areas, and we have, I want to say maybe 5 or 6 now, are parcels that have been placed in there, some as long as 30 years ago. So we're constantly looking at these AVs so that they can provide the maximum value to the TIF district and then the maximum value to the community. And it's not assessed on any residential property. So this is only commercial property that that we collect TIF revenues off on. And Cole, if I misspoke on anything, clarify for me, but this is just literally a technical process that we have to do and keep on track of, that again helps us get the most impact out of our TIF district.
And I will remind the commission too that this is the first step. So the next step will be the city plan commission meeting. I believe the calendar's in your packet as well. That'll happen as a resolution at the June 12th plan commission meeting. Then it will go in front of our city council as well, and then back to you for a final approval. So this is the preliminary approval for other city commissions and council to review, and then it'll come back to you. So this process will be completed by the middle of July,
okay.
over the next 2 months.
Remind me, does this process cost us anything to go through?
Yeah, it's a minimal cost for the attorney fees and the financial analysis fees, but again, there are a few $1,000s, and again, that quick analysis they did showed that the $100,000 that we would receive in increased revenue certainly offset And that's every year. They certainly offset the minor
Additional
expense,
investment.
the minor expense of doing that.
And how does, what are the mechanics of how the net assessed value drops?
So, how I somewhat explained it, if you would have a parcel that's increasing and then have this decremental parcel that's a negative value, it offsets that parcel that's gaining money. And then, like I said, if you would have a parcel that's at $1 million and then a parcel that it's at a negative 500,000, the total AV then is only 500,000.
Correct, but when I'm looking at, I just trying to understand, when I'm looking at these properties,
Why
just,
has the assessed value dropped? Is your
Correct.
core
That
question.
could be, could have been a number of reasons. If something was demolished or, we've seen in the past where a government would purchase buildings or land and then that you cannot,
Takes it off the tax rolls.
yeah, you can't collect
You
it.
know, more likely than not, John, the county is responsible for, the assessor is responsible for, they use a third party for assessors and determine it. And there are a lot of variables to the condition of the property, the assessed value. It could be the condition. It could be, like he said, the building had been demolished, the property could have been taken off the tax rolls.
Could have been appeals to property tax bills.
It's a variety of things that a depreciation could drive that assessed value down.
okay,
And this is almost like one of those concepts of a rising tide lifts all boats. So the investments we make around a property will generally raise its assessed value too. It's like, you know, being next door to a house that had been unmaintained for 20 years, and then someone comes in and puts $250,000 or $500,000 into that, that's going to improve your property value.
Yeah, and for example, Cole mentioned government. If you look on there, there's a number of parcels over the last couple of years. The city of Madison, for example, has purchased the Madison Cole properties. So they were generating revenue, now they are not. So so they'll get reset to zero, which will have no impact. Right now, you know, those three parcels are having about a $60,000 negative impact on the AV. When we reset those to zero, that negative impact goes away. And so, again, this is just sort of cleaning up and reconciling those AVs throughout the Redevelopment Commission territory.
okay, so in front of us, we have resolution number 2023-2R, and we're looking for a motion to approve this resolution to start the process, the decrement process, correct?
Yes.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. So moved.
Any questions from the audience? Okay, then, hearing none.
Bob, you good? Okay, all right. All right, the next item on the new business is a time extension change order for the Michigan Road Pump Station. That project has taken longer than anticipated for two reasons. One, we had additional rock, and we have control systems that we anticipated not arriving on time. That's been known for the whole supply chain issue since we started the Sunrise Crossing project over a year ago. The contractors requested a change order that shows that no liquidated damages would go into effect until September 1st. The engineering firm, the contractor there, the developer, and the city all concur that that's a fair and reasonable request. And so I'd ask for you to approve the extension of time for the contract with Saddam Contracting for the Michigan Road Pump Station.
Can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So moved.
Just a quick update, we are looking to be online with temporary sewer on June 1st for those businesses there. And we'll be working through the rest of the supply chain issue. We're receiving the control boards in early August, and so we feel confident we'll be up and running by September. And just a quick update too, we're talking about Michigan Road. All 4 stores are under construction as we speak. TJ Maxx and Five Below are the 2 in the middle that are further along. And then Hobby Lobby's going to go up pretty quick. The steel's on site. There'll be precast going up. So if you've watched the industrial building going up, they go up, almost in a week. It's amazing. So Hobby Lobby will take shape really quickly, and Kohl's is mobilized on site and started to construct. We continue to hear, again, I can't give you specific dates or times, and most of them are being cautious about putting out anything until because we'll talk about construction, unforeseen things and delays, but we are still moving towards a nice fall opening for at least most of those retailers well in advance of the holiday season. We'll also say the out parcel, if you remember correctly, had space for some additional retail and restaurants. We are very close to being able to announce a couple of those in that there's 3 current parcels or building shells being envisioned, and 2 of them currently are in real estate committees nationally for approval. So we'll keep you updated as soon as we can announce those.
Very good.
Finally, the Mural Lot Gateway project, our ready projects. As you all know, projects take a life of their own sometimes. We have a great opportunity that presented ourselves as well to help, I think, complete a project the RDC started and supported many years ago, as well as to connect the Mulberry Street lot, as well as help with some of the soils and unforeseen conditions that we received. So we are asking today for a $50,000 increase to the support of the ready projects for the Mural Lot, the Gateway project, to finish those projects, as well as to connect what was conceived as an art alley many years ago by Joey G's and connect it to the Mural Lot, which is a natural connection, and make those improvements so that becomes a walkway for those folks to enter Main Street. So, so I'd ask for a motion to give us the authority to spend up to $60,000 on those projects. I'm sorry, $50,000 on those projects. Sorry. I did.
I was like,
Well, Joe, we're still finding unforeseen conditions, so
yeah.
you just never know. Till the ribbon cutting, we never know.
So can we get the motion to, all right, Joe made the motion, second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, so moved. Any, next up on the agenda is any city matters or mayor updates?
Yeah, I think you're going to go through the legislative changes that just got approved yesterday.
Yeah, I wanted to just thank the board for all of the support. If you drive around our community, you'll see plenty happening. Quality of life, infrastructure, roads, retail development. In addition to what's happening here at the Redevelopment Commission, we're actively working in our utility department on a $13 million drinking water project. We're also in the middle now of our spring CCMG, which is going to be about $1.5 million road project. We're also focusing those road dollars in areas where the Redevelopment Commission is investing, and we're also attracting a lot of private investment. So you'll see in a lot of these areas where, great, you're doing the mural plaza, great, you're doing the grocery store. What about the roads and sidewalks and crosswalks? Those things have to be addressed too. And the way we address those is by leveraging those dollars and using our annual allocation from NDOT for road projects. And we're trying to make those investments where they're being very impactful, where there's millions of dollars of other investment happening. So there's a method to all of the allocation of resources across the city. But I do want to give you a quick legislative update because, as you know, one of the roles that we play, in addition to managing the Redevelopment Commission, it's participating statewide with regards to the legislation that happens, and every year there's new legislation that affects the city of Madison. This year is no different. On the budget front, the General Assembly just wrapped up the biennial budget that will have tremendous impact for the city of Madison, and that included another $500 million toward the READY program. They're labeling that as READY 2.0. We are a member of a 5-county RDA. City of Madison, as you know, we have a destination and a workforce development plans. We've been executing that the last year and a half with several millions of dollars of investments from the allocation we received from the RDA, plus in collaboration with other private entities that allows us to leverage our dollars. So our last 3 projects included a partnership with the Ohio Theater, Riverfront Development, Historic Madison, and Hanover College and the Heritage Trail. So 4 projects that we're coming out of the ground now, we're planning for. But this $500 million will be another way for the state to leverage probably about another $8 billion of new investment across the state. Those are the results from the first $500 million. We've talked in here a lot about housing being our focus. We are a couple of decades behind on really developing. We're not unique in that regard. Every city across the state of Indiana is finding themselves in a housing crisis. Growth in their populations, dictating the need for more housing. We're no different than that, but we haven't built any meaningful new housing for the last 25 years. We do have Sunrise, the residences at Sunrise Crossing that we're working on, but legislatively there was $75 million in revolving loans fund created for residential housing development to support local infrastructure costs. Those dollars will be leveraged with the redevelopment committee dollars in order for us to attract new housing. That's what it's going to take, gap financing and infrastructure for us if we're going to build a subdivision, just like our closing with the groundbreaking with the Habitat for Humanity subdivision. The city is going to have a role in offsetting some of those infrastructure costs for the development.
And I would just remind the commission too that this is not uncommon. This has been gap financing for housing development in communities has been going on a long time. This fund specifically was set up for communities under 50,000 in population. So that's really great for rural communities throughout Indiana who need a jump start in some of this gap financing. So the legislature did a really nice job with giving those rural communities an opportunity, because they also know that those rural communities are where workers might want to live, that are on the fringes of some of these larger communities that have been doing this through redevelopment dollars or gap financing through other tax incentives to get those developments going. So this will be very beneficial to us.
City of Lawrenceburg recently invested $15 million in a housing development in the city of Lawrenceburg. I mean, it's going to take some meaningful support to attract the developers to come here to build housing to fill our housing needs. And as you know, it has implications on definitely workforce. We are very deficient on meeting the housing needs for our growing workforce.
And I would also say too, we have to have these dollars to be competitive, because we're competing for a limited number of developers to have the opportunity to come here versus going to Lawrenceburg or going to Corydon or going to Clarksville or Greensburg, right? So, we have to be competitive with our other cities throughout the state, and this will help us do that as well.
In the budget also was $30 million for next level trails. That's going to be important to us as well as we further develop our trail system. House Bill 1005, getting back to the TIF area. There's a program that we haven't taken advantage of yet, but will be an important element for developing our housing initiatives, and that is the use of a residential TIF. What we're using right now is basically commercial TIF, but we'll be evaluating this bill and establishing some strategies on how to proceed that would bring TIF into the residential realm for the city of Madison, and that's going to be a very important element to help fund infrastructure and also create additional future revenue.
We've talked before about residential TIF being a potential strategy for us as we look to the hilltop and that infrastructure cost. The state legislature's allowed the redevelopment commissions for the next 2 years to have reduced regulations on use of residential TIF. The school boards no longer have to approve them. So that is a recognition that housing is a real problem throughout the entire state, and this tool that was already existing just had some of its processes and the restrictions removed to help give communities the ability to jumpstart the housing initiatives.
And then outside of this particular bill was another bill about government finance. DLGF is the state agency that oversees all of the towns and counties and cities' budgets, Department of Local Government Finance. And there's a portion of that bill that impacts TIF districts such that it will, over the course of the next year or two, essentially define more restrictions around the spending plans for TIF districts. So we've been working off of, redevelopment plan. Redevelopment plan comes here, goes to Plan Commission, gets adopted by City Council, and that literally creates the overall strategy. DLGF is going to get involved with regards to essentially creating a format for our spending plans, and there's still some work to go through to create that so that it doesn't inhibit our ability to invest or take advantage of mid-year opportunities, but there's other bills that's going to affect this redevelopment commission. One I would like to mention that has an indirect effect on the redevelopment commission because of the investments that we're making is Senate Bill 20, and this is something that we've been advocating for several years, and it's the creation of a district called a DORA, a designated outdoor refreshment area. City of Madison has one of the largest cultural arts districts in the state of Indiana, and having the designated outdoor refreshment areas will allow us to essentially enhance those tourism and festival experiences by allowing more flexibility with the sale of alcohol in a district. John, you're probably familiar with, anybody's been to a Cincinnati Reds game.
That area in the banks between the stadiums.
Yes,
Right.
that's a DORA. And you can see how free-flowing of an area that is and how vibrant that is for entertainment and outdoor activity for guests. We have to go through a legislative process to adopt this and certainly understand how do you enforce it, but having a DORA, finally having enabling legislation for a community like ours to create a designated outdoor refreshment area is going to be pretty huge for our festival environment. Literally almost all of downtown Madison could be its own DORA. We'll probably create borders that are a little bit more contiguous and manageable, but I think that is it's going to be a great amenity for us, and the statute enables our ability to draft it locally.
And the Alcohol Commission is working through the rules and governance around those currently. They're on a fast track because it was recognized that we're entering festival season and outdoor time. So hopefully within the next 60 days, we'll be able to have that process in place. It's going to require some city council approval on those sorts of things. So, but it is exciting as it was described to us. It's no longer we have to stay in a beer garden and get a beer and not be with your family. So, it's that kind of opportunity. If you've been in Ohio, Ohio's had Adoras for many years. And again, you mentioned Cincinnati, but Troy, Ohio actually has a really robust one in their main street, and it's done a real good job with them on the tourism side. So we're excited about it.
Is the idea behind those to be permanent or just during festivals?
Permanent.
Permanent.
Yeah, that would be our idea as an administration, and that'll be our recommendation to City Council.
Well, we're working on with Visit Madison, and Councilwoman Lisa DeTillo has really been a huge advocate for this. Is essentially a 365-day tourism strategy. A lot of tourism efforts focus on specific big event weekends, but for our growing tourism industry, and particularly to help attract more restaurant and entertainment venues and cultivate our preservation tourism as well as our music movement, we need tourism almost every night, and vehicles like this will allow us to create an enhanced tourist experience, but also the people who live here, better experience for them too. I have 3 other quick updates for you because this has been what I consider a really productive week on the economic development front. Yesterday, we executed a $2.1 million grant agreement with the Department of Natural Resources. I'm bringing it up here because it's a READY grant program, an initiative that we supported. This is the one I mentioned that's in partnership with Hanover College and the Heritage Conservancy District. This is going to create the first phase of the Hanover-Madison Connector Trail. It's all in the city of Madison, but it'll connect Heritage Trail up over to the entrance into Calypty Falls State Park. So we executed that grant agreement yesterday $2.1 million. We also received something we've been working toward, which is our permit from the Department of Natural Resources, which will allow us now to proceed with the Crystal Beach reconstruction. We were waiting on one more permit, which was the floodplain development permit from the state of Indiana. We received it yesterday, I believe, and now we've already executed a construction contract for the Crystal Beach Aquatic Park. This will allow us to now proceed there. And then lastly, I'll mention that Tony's been working, this has been a big project of his, and now we have the agreement to execute with NDOT that allows us full control over some right-of-way that we needed up along Sunrise Crossing development at Michigan and Clifty Drive, and it will fund or allow us the permit for cleaning up the fence and vegetation removal that borders the property, wayfinding, as well as a new gateway wall for the entrance into Madison that will include flags. You might want to elaborate on that, but that's going to make that property really look beautiful.
Yeah, if you drive east on Clifty Drive, some of the fence has been removed somehow, with or without permits through the years. It happens. But as a part of some of the developer requests and the city's requests, we wanted to clean up that stretch of Clifty Drive from Michigan Road east and remove the overgrown vegetation in the fence line and remove that fence so that the developers could have the right to keep it clean and in a much nicer appearance than NDOT has the ability to do. And then it also allows us for the enhancements which you've seen before to happen at the intersection. Some of those have been removed because of cost, but we're still building the welcome to Madison sign with the American flag, state flag, and city flag flying there on the northeast corner of Clifty and Michigan Road.
That'd be great. And lastly, I'll just mention that I've been honored to attend Ball State University's Indiana Community Institute next week and participate on the mayor's panel and share with a record number of students participating in their economic development course on City of Madison's economic development strategies. And, oh yes, and Emily will also be attending that. Of course, I participated in that as a student 4 years ago, and said, boy, it'd be great to come back here someday, because I was nominated or voted as the student most likely to have an economic impact on his community. And now I've been invited back to share what our community development strategies have been and what's working. So happy to do that, and also be up there with Emily. She'll be there the whole week. I'll only be there for a few hours. Commission, turn the floor back over to you guys. Lots going on. Thank you for your support.
If I could, I'd just like to say one other thing about economic development. We had a great visit yesterday. American Queen Voyages was in town yesterday. The mayor and I got the opportunity to meet with the new president of their corporation, a dynamic individual who really understands the importance of partnerships and community engagement. And actually, American Queen Voyages sees that partnership in the city of Madison and actually are working with us to develop a couple test projects that here and try to see how those work in communities. So they see Madison as a good partner, and again, we signed that agreement with them last year, and they're continuing to reach out to us in a very partnership manner. So we want to thank the commission and the city council for their support of that. We'll be back for some improvement dollars as we get moving towards there. But we had a great time yesterday.
These are exciting times.
Exciting times with her. And, the tourism industry is changing drastically for cruising. Many of you know, there's more competition now along the Ohio, will be more competition. Some European companies that do river cruises are moving into the U.S., and the Ohio and Mississippi will become a very active waterway for traveling here over the next decade or so. So we're excited about those opportunities as well. So it's just a quick ED update on that.
Nice. Any other questions or comments for the mayor, Tony? Lots of great stuff going on.
Really is.
And it's nice to see that the state's supporting the community as well with some good legislation and hopefully some good dollars coming our way.
We'll keep working for it. We were very successful in the first round of Ready, and there were parts of our interesting is that IEDC is now saying, we did a plan and everybody else did projects. Now IEDC is saying, we'd like to stick to the same kind of formula, but we'd like to see more plans. And that's been pretty impactful, as you see. You can do a lot more in a community when you have a plan that you're executing, because they're all connected and they're all attached to good public policy and public initiatives.
Well, and I think too, as the mayor mentioned earlier, one of the things that came out through the Ready 1.0 project is the ability to capital stack projects. It's been sort of most communities have never really thought about capital stacking and leveraging public-private, other grant funds with other city dollars. That played right into the philosophy here for the city of Madison, so that was easy for us. But for a lot of communities, that was an all-new formula for them. So it's been a good process for Ready 1.0. It's taught, I think, the entire state and a lot of communities how to be successful with capital stacking and leveraging and things that, we've been doing here through support of the RDC and the city council. So it's going to help the state of Indiana. Anything that helps the state of Indiana will help us. And we're excited about the support the legislature and the governor's office gave to the redevelopment commissions and the cities this year.
Great. Thank you. Next meeting is June the 6th at 3 p.m. Being no other business, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Real quick, just don't forget,
Thank you, Commissioner.